Hey guys, Curdhos here from Hostyle Conditioning. I want to talk to you a bit about a subject that comes up a lot, why you need a coach. This comes up a lot, especially today in training with the advent of all these DVD programs and these online programs for kettlebells. The TRX is big right now, the P90X, Insanity. They have some very good qualities, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of good information that you can learn from them, glean from them, gives you something to follow. The problem is there's going to be a bit of a disconnect most times where what you're seeing on TV and what you're doing aren't going to match, right? In your mind's eye, sort of how you see your body positioning itself and what you're watching on TV, you're going to feel like you're doing what they're doing on TV. You're trying to mimic it, but most often than not, your body isn't doing the same move. You think it's happening, and you feel like it's happening, but if someone was to stand beside you and watch the video that's in front of you and watch you perform it, 9 times out of 10, especially when we're beginning something new, the person watching you is going to see two totally different things happening. The person doing it, you for example, you're going to feel like you're crushing it and you're doing it, and you're doing what Buddy's doing, and why is this hard and why does this hurt and stuff, whereas the person sitting back and watching the two of you simultaneously is going to say, what you're doing might be close or pretty far off depending on what's going on with your body mechanics to what you're seeing on TV. Again, and your fitness level will come into play with that, what you bring to it, what you start with. Your mobility, your flexibility will have a big impact on it. Your weight selection versus the other person, what they're doing on TV, all those things come into play because you're trying to learn something in the now. And the problem with that is that you're trying to do it as Buddy does it. You're doing that monkey see, monkey do thing, and it doesn't really allow you to acquire the skill set. Some people will stop and rewind and work it and try it, but really, unless you have a really good awareness, body awareness of where your position is, it's really difficult to really pull that off. So when we look at the coaching, some people call it personal training, I prefer the term coaching. When I look at a client and someone comes in, an athlete, my goal is I know what the movement is I want them to do, now I have to get that person to do it. They may feel like they're doing it, but I see the disconnect. I see they're almost there or they're not there. We just had a young gentleman come in tonight, and that's sort of what prompted this video. Francis, he came by last week, bought a 12-kilo kettlebell. He's picked up one of the name brand kettlebell programs out there. Guy knows his stuff for sure, good stuff overall. But he was saying, he came in tonight to talk to me and was asking me a bit about the classes because he was finding that what he was trying to do in the video and what he was doing, he just wasn't feeling it the same way. And what they were telling him on the video he should feel, he wasn't feeling that. He was feeling different things happening. So he's a pretty sharp guy. He could tell pretty quick that something was off. Something just wasn't quite happening. So I was a little quieter in the facility, so I said, well, let's go. Let's grab the 12 kilo. So it's the same weight that he has, so I'm not changing anything. And I said, show me some basics. Show me what you've been learning on the video. So he showed me some swings. He showed me some clean and press. He showed me some figure eights. And he was like 82 to 85% there. It was actually, you could tell he'd been working it, but there was a couple of small things missing. And he really had no idea because he wasn't sure what to look for. So quickly, I showed him a few things on his swings, a couple cues to work for. I think within 10 swings, he was swinging beautifully. But the first thing he said after 10 swings doing it that way, he goes, wow, does it ever feel different? He felt it where he was supposed to feel it. He felt the cardio effect, and that threw him off. Then we worked on a clean. And then we worked on a clean and press, and we worked on the figure eight. And again, he was really close, but it's the small technical nuances that make all the difference. The small parts add up big when they're done right. When they're not done, there's definitely a piece of the puzzle missing overall. So within 10 minutes, we covered swings. I worked with him on his figure eights. I worked with him on his clean and presses, and I worked with him on some cleans. And cleans is a cool little technical move that often takes a little bit of getting used to. But with a couple quick cues, he was nailing some really nice ones. And you could see it click for him. All of a sudden, he's like, that's what it's supposed to feel like. That's how it's supposed to go, right? So he's putting the effort in, and this is what I get concerned about is when I see people putting effort in, but they're just not quite getting it. Something's missing. There's a disconnect. And I want to help people solve that so that it keeps them progressing, keeps them motivated, they're acquiring the skills, they're getting the results, they're pumped, they're excited. I don't want people to lose that momentum. So that's why, a coach is going to make a big difference. Go see someone who knows how to do what you want to do. I know a little bit about bookkeeping because I've been in business for a long time, but I have a bookkeeper / accountant. They handle that, right? I know a little bit about the law. I have a lawyer, right? Those are my coaches in those areas, right? I pay them to give me the right advice based on what my needs are. And it's the same thing when we deal with training, the same thing when we deal with a coach, whether it's going to be in martial arts, whether it's going to be in fitness, whether it's in kettlebells, whether it's in bodybuilding, whatever. Powerlifting, again, seek out people that are knowledgeable, but not just knowledgeable, but can coach. They can take the knowledge that's in their head and they get it into your head and they get you doing it. And that's really where we see a big difference between what I call a personal trainer and a coach. A coach can basically is learned and is always learning to better his skills at getting the person to understand and to learn. Taking that person's skill set and matching it with their goals. All right? But I find a lot of today's personal trainers, they read off the piece of paper, this is the exercise, this many sets, this many reps. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let's do it. Oh, okay, it's a little off, so does it feel right? Well, we'll try a little harder. Okay, push a little harder. Oh, okay, well, all right. The problem is, even the trainer knows there's something off. The client knows there's something off. But most trainers, because they don't have enough experience, and that's really the big issue for a lot of them, is that a lot of them mean really well, they want to be good trainers, but they don't have enough experience to be able to sit there and say, okay, this isn't working for Mr. Jones, this isn't working for Mrs. Jones, okay, I need to try this angle, I need to try this angle. I need to have had enough experience and learn enough things to know that there's 5 other ways I can teach this one exercise. And one of these things is going to fit for Mr. Jones or Mrs. Jones. And that's where what I call a coach. To me, a coach is someone who's gone above the personal training, who's working on those skills. The skill of communication. Getting the trainee or the athlete to do what I want in my head, what I visualize, I want the athlete to do it. I want the trainee to do it. So what my skill set that I always work on and I'm always proving on is getting that message across, getting them to think what I think. So if I see a red apple, they see a red apple in their head. For most people, I see a red apple and they see a watermelon, right, when they start. And we need to get apples and apples and oranges and oranges. And that's really what it comes down to overall. So what I recommend for anything, if you want to improve on something, if you want to get better at something, seek out a coach. Someone who does what you want them to do, does it very well, and can also explain it to you. We see this a lot in sports. We'll see guys that were phenomenal hockey players, fantastic baseball or football players, to name some sports. They were masters of what they did. But so all of a sudden, as they retire, what's the natural evolution for some of these guys? Well, I'm going to become a coach. Some of them transition quite well, and some of them end up being good coaches. A lot of them don't, because just because they had the skill set to do the amazing stuff, and they do that really well, they don't have the skill set to communicate, to teach that, to motivate and to inspire, and to get people, all these 8, 10 people on the ice or on the field or whatever, to get them to do what they want them to do. They don't have that skill. They are not able to bridge that gap. So being really good at doing something and being really good at coaching that is the best situation. But if I was given the option of the two, if someone isn't quite as skilled on a certain thing, but they really are knowledgeable and are a phenomenal coach about it, to me that's impressive too, and there's some use for that overall. Obviously, if you can do it really well, and you can coach it really well, and you can communicate, and you can get your clients to do what you want to do, then I think that what makes a person a really good coach. And when a personal trainer's light bulb goes off and they realize, hey, that's what's missing for me to become a trainer and a personal trainer and a very good personal trainer to a good coach, it's the communication. Being able to get that point across and getting Mr. and Mrs. Jones to do the movement the way you want them to do it, right? And that's the magic, and that's why a coach makes a big difference. Something like a group fitness that we do is also important, because not only are you going to get a good coach, but it's a commitment. You come in here, you come in the door, you warm up, it's time for the workout. The problem I have again with DVDs and online stuff is that, you know what? You can turn it off, you can pause it, you can go answer the phone, you can do this, your kids can run in the room, that kind of stuff. You can be like, oh, I worked hard enough, that's it. When you're in a coaching situation where you're standing in front of a coach or with a group of people in front of a coach, you can't just quit, you can't just stop because you're in front of everyone, you're in front of the coach. So there's more commitment to get through the workout, to work harder, and you're there, so you get 100% of your attention. And again, good coaching will get that out of you. Good coaching will get you to go for that extra rep, go for that move, and try something, and get you to exceed beyond your own perception of your limitations and stuff. And again, what I try to do is whenever I'm working with clients, new clients or older clients or existing clients, I try to see where they're coming from, where they're at, what skills do they possess, what skills do they need to develop to acquire the goals that we're trying to set for them, to get them to achieve that we set for them. And that's where I focus. So when someone's coming in new to a class, I watch what they're doing. I watch how they're moving to see where their strengths and weaknesses are. That's why when people come in and we offer a free week for everybody to come and try it. I mean, it's important for us. I want you to try and see what we're all about. I want to see what you're all about. And I always have people, when they come in for their free workout, they have to start on a Tuesday at our mobility class, because the mobility class is basically an extended version of our warm-up. But being able to spend that class, which is at a slower pace and works a lot of mechanics and mobility and things, I'm able to really see a lot of things happening. So the person might say, well, I have this problem and I'm strong here. Well, you know what? I hear that, and then when I watch, I see different messages. Where you think you're weak, you're actually strong. Where you think you're strong, you're actually weak. And I see the different disconnects, and I see other issues in movement and stuff. That will translate to how well or how difficult an exercise will be. And that's what I use as my information gathering system to say, okay, Mr. Jones, all right, off the bat, I know that you've got some hip mobility, and I know your cardio is an issue. Excellent. So when I'm putting you through some other workouts, I'm watching for those issues. So I'm watching to correct and to get you to focus on mobility, and I'm working to get you to work your cardio. Also, when to pull back on your cardio when you've hit your limit. Someone else comes in, they got phenomenal cardio, but their stability is off, meaning they're not strong enough to hold the position properly, but they can go all day. Well, that person presents a different set of strengths and weaknesses, so I'm going to work with them a little bit differently. But the whole group is working to do the same exercise. So I put burpees on the board, then they're going to be working burpees. But what I'm doing is getting Mr. Jones to do the best burpee he can, and to get Mrs. Jones to do the best burpee they can, no matter what their capabilities and their strengths and weaknesses are. And that's what's important about having a coach, is having someone able to pick apart what you're doing and help you work on the weaknesses and improve on the strengths, so that as a whole you improve. So again, no matter what you're doing, seek out someone who you believe or you've heard or you've been referred to as being a coach or a master of what they're doing, or really good at what they're doing, so that you can learn. And your learning curve is going to be faster, you're going to waste a lot less time, you're going to avoid a lot of injuries and a lot of frustration. Your improvement's going to come faster, and you're going to be a lot more motivated, because you're going to be acquiring those goals and those skill sets much more smoothly overall. Very, very important, all right? So why a coach? So you can learn better. That's the whole thing. The more you learn, the more technical you get, the better you're going to be able to do, and you're going to be able to work harder and get better results. Again, Kurt from Hostile Conditioning, thanks for tuning in. Crush it.